All right, we are in the grand finale of Limitless Leaders Summit. Okay, Anna, do your do your balloons. Woohoo! And now they're not coming up. Anyway, it is such a pleasure to be here with everyone, to be just this week, this summit has been such an amazing experience. I know for me personally and for everybody who's tuned in, I hope you've really felt the power and the nudgings and the wisdom that has been dropped for this. I'm so glad you have been a part of this experience. Um, Anybody who's present, please feel free to engage in the chat. If you have any questions, put them in the Q&A, and we will get to them in the middle if depending on who's asking what. But I really just want to celebrate the fact that we're all here. We all became present to this very important theme, I believe, especially in the times we're in right now of limitlessness. And I'm just glad for you ladies who all said yes. So these are the speakers who were able to come at 2 p.m. today. So I want to take a moment to just say your name. And so as I say your name, please say one cool thing about you that you want us to know about you. And this will be really quick, just 30 seconds or less. Say your name, what you do, and 30 seconds or less, say what is one cool thing you want us all to know about you. So let's get started. So I will start with Michelle.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. One thing, I'm a three-time Ironman, and that has absolutely support me on the spiritual path.
Oh, all right. Brenda.
Hey, I'm Brenda. I performed Shakespeare in my one-woman show on stage in London.
Etta.
Hi everyone, my name is Eda Hardy. I'm a physical and emotional empath. It means that I can actually feel all the physical stuff and emotional stuff that you're feeling in your body, just like it's mine.
Kelly. Oh, Kelly is not here. Okay. Laurel.
Hi, everyone. Laurel Rutledge, your Chief Navigation Officer. And though I am very much an introvert, I guess an ambivert, I actually danced in a amateur salsa team for 4 years.
These are so fun. Oh, Mala.
Okay, hello everybody. It's Marla Diane. Intuition is something that I live by, I teach by, it guided my entire life. And one of the ways that it did is I ended up spending a month-long stay in beautiful Florence, Italy that helped change my life.
Okay, Melissa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Minnick. I'm the founder of the Sacred Soul Alchemy Mystery School. I have a book coming out with Hay House on April 12th. I'm super excited about. And I just returned from a month in Egypt where I took my students through a journey up the Nile to the temples for activations and initiations. And it was super powerful.
Wow. Yeah. Dr. Mara Emua. You're on mute.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amara Moa, and I'm an executive and leadership coach that my foundations and everything I do is on authentic leadership. I like to explore why people make excuses and any fun thing. I am a mother to two amazing boys.
Awesome. And last but not least, Anna.
Hello, my name is Anna Kowalska. I'm a coach, trainer, healer, creative. An interesting thing about me, I grew up in a very communist environment, very practical, very like it's black and white. But I come from a long lineage of witches who just couldn't speak they were, but now I know.
Wow. Okay.
The Baltic witches, the Baltic witches.
Wow. Well, I want to just say to all you ladies, thank you so much for being part of the Limitless Leaders Lounge. I can't do the L's, all the other ones. The grand finale, it was just so awesome to have your contribution. So we have about an hour and a half, depending on how people engage. And I truly want this session to feel, fun, reflective, inspiring, inspirational, interactive, all those good things. And I want to just start by saying, like, you know, these interviews were just, to me, just amazing interviews with everyone, those who are here and those who are not, all the speakers who were part of this summit. And one of my biggest takeaways is that, you know, around this theme of limitlessness, is that so much of the transformation that is needed for us to really embrace this beingness, this expansive energy, is to do with how we see ourselves, and repositioning our mindset. And I know you all would probably agree with what I'm saying right now. And it's just like, it's just a big like theme that keeps coming up: how we think, how we see, how we perceive. And I guess as women, you know, we all know this. We've been conditioned. We've, like, you just Annie, you talk about, you know, witches being burned at the stake and different things happen. We've been so conditioned and taught to not be fully ourselves, to fit into a mold, to be in a box, to be who they think we should be. And so we have to rewrite all those narratives, and it just takes a lot. But I think a summit like this and hearing other people's journeys, like everybody was so transparent and things, that it can be the thing to ignite and to let us like see and perceive and believe more about ourselves. And I want to share this before I get into a question that everybody's going to answer in a minute. I want to share the intuitive hit I got this morning. So I was thinking about the theme limitlessness, and as a woman of faith, this Bible verse that I have known for a long time, but it always made me go, because it was just an interesting verse. I'm gonna say it and actually know it by heart. And it says, "Truly I say unto you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, if you say to this mountain, move from here to there, it can move. Nothing is impossible to you." Nothing is impossible for you, for you. And that's Matthew 17:20. So literally, that verse is saying, if you have the belief that you can tell a mountain to move, you can do it. And it's literally beyond understanding, because nowhere in history has a man moved a mountain, but that Bible verse says that we can. And what it makes me think of now, with all this knowledge I feel like I've just been immersed in, and understanding and deeper wisdom I have gotten, is that the sky really is the limit. The sky really is the limit. So I just believe that we have so much more capacity that we are unaware of as people. But I'm speaking to women, and we're speaking to women today specifically, because I want, in the times we're in right now, I want us all to believe that we have more to give, more to offer, more value, more this, because there's so much more in us. And so for the question I want to put to everyone today to answer first is, what is an expression of limitlessness that holds great meaning for you, that keeps you moving forward, that allows you to expand in ways you could not have imagined? And so I think what I'll do this is raise your hand and I'll go to you, and then we'll go like that. So what is an expression of limitlessness that has a great meaning to you? Okay, Brenda, because Brenda has to leave early. Yes, Brenda, go ahead.
You know, what comes forward for me, and of course, all of us have this, is remembering a time when you did the impossible, when you overcame something that you thought would break you and pull you down. And for me, with the challenges I continue to face in life, and I remember that, you know, in my story, my father shot and killed my mother back in 1995 and married her sister. And it, you know, exploded my world apart. And I was able to follow my inner guidance and find myself in a spiritual psychology program, start writing my story. And then from a place of deep self-love and forgiveness for myself first, I was able to forgive my father. And what that means is, well, I took him to court for wrongful death when he got out of prison, but I did it from deep compassion, love for myself, and in an energy of forgiveness. And facing him in court was probably one of the hardest decisions I ever made in my life. So in those moments when I feel limited, not limitless, I remember who I was, which made me emotional, and how I was able to face that with spirit, with something bigger, but from a place of knowing, not revenge or anything like that. And that one decision was probably the strongest, hardest decision I made in my life to free myself. And again, it was from a place of self-love and compassion, and having, you know, having forgiveness for him at the same time. So
Oh, Brenda, thank you. And Brenda shares this in our interview, and and I just love your transparency. I have to say that, and I know we don't even know we're going to be emotional when we're sharing something we've shared 100 million times, but it's still there, right? So thank you for sharing that. Who else? Who wants to go next? You, Melissa.
Hello, everyone. So for me, Limitless goes across the board. I have a very interesting story. Lots of trauma, sexual trauma from my childhood. Became an international drug trafficker in my 20s, turned my whole life around, and now I've helped over 10,000 people over the world. And there's the idea of limitlessness when you hear about the trauma and the things that I went through. But I share that in a way of like, how do we move that into bending reality, right? So I've studied all of the theologies, and I love that you went with the scripture from Matthew about Yeshua and what he has to say, because if you look back through all of the theologies of all of time, there is this piece of understanding that every single one of us is limited, that I have a spark of God within me, that I am that, you are that, as within, so without. And it's coming to us from every place, no matter your religion, your faith, your belief, whatever that is, they all converge together. And I shared recently about something that just happened to me when I spent 5 days in Jordan after I left Egypt. And I was driving along a side of the highway along the Dead Sea, and it's up and down in the mountains, and there's no gas stations for 60 kilometers either way, and my gas light comes on and it's flashing, and it's like 10 kilometers left to go, and I have 32 kilometers to get to my hotel. And the piece of like, when we think of limitless, a lot of times then we hear law of attraction, manifest this thing, create this thing, whatever, but it's a very ego-centered, I want this thing and let me have it kind of experience. And so instead of me being like, I need you to get me to the hotel, or I need a gas station to appear, I said, magic is going to happen. Something miraculous is going to come from this experience, whether I end up stranded on the side of the road or I make it there. There's going to be a miracle in this. And so I surrendered to allow, instead of myself, my ego mind, to say, this is how I want the experience to happen. I was limitless because I allowed the universe to, God, source, whatever you want to call that, to drop in and give me the miracle. And the miracle was I only used 3 kilometers of gas in 32 kilometers. I arrived at the hotel with my gas light still flashing. And when I got there and I went to check in, I said, hey, I'm out of gas. And they looked at me and they're like, oh, well, let us upgrade you to the finest suite, give you a butler, give you a beautiful private jacuzzi, 5-star hotel, right? Like all of these amazing things. What time does your flight leave tomorrow? 8 p.m. We'll let you check out at 3. And then when I went to check out at 3, they brought me gas and filled my tank. The guy had gone into town and brought gas back and filled my tank. And when I tried to give him a tip, he said, you would have done it for me, and refused a tip. I couldn't have made that miracle happen. That was my limitless self, allowing for the miracles to drop in and for the universe, God, to show me this is the miracle that you are meant to have if you're not trying to put it into your box and what you want to have. So limitless to me is, how do I expand and surrender and allow the universe to give me that instead of me finding it within my own self?
Woo! I know. That story, you got to keep telling that story. You got to keep telling that story, Melissa. I swear, it's gold. It's gold, and it's right to the heart of the theme. Absolutely, I love it. I love it. Okay, I mean, I can keep going on there, but yes, Marla.
Wow. My goodness sakes. Incredible. All right. So limitless, you can't do, in my perspective, in my life, you can't do that without a spiritual foundation. Bottom line, I don't know how any human being is able to navigate life without that spiritual foundation, whatever it is that you believe in, right? Whether it's metaphysical, whether it's organized religion, have something, because it's so crucial. And so, as I was mentioning in my opening, is that I have learned from younger days to listen to my intuition and to build that relationship with spirit, with universe, with God. And what happened with the whole Italy thing is I had a major burnout 9 years into my now 17-year coaching career and company. It was 9 years in, and I went, I'm just this manufactured version of myself. I cannot continue with what I'm doing. It's like, good Lord, where are my dreams? Making money with joy. What is it? So I ended up hiring my then coach, who I ended up staying with for about 6 years. She pulled out of me my longtime dream that I did not honor. And that dream was to work and live in, the United States, where I am, and in Italy. Wasn't interested in being an expat. And she said, all right, in that intensive that we had when I hired her, she says, you're going to Florence, Italy for a month. And I went, okay, fabulous, because she knew what was in my heart. Long story short is 45 days later, I left for Rome, Italy. I spent an entire month in Florence and changed everything from the inside out, and came back and embodied that life back here of what I had learned in Italy, and changed my entire business and got rid of anything that didn't bring me joy. Yeah.
Love
The
it. Thank
spiritual
you.
foundation, intuition.
Yes. And I have to just say, I didn't say it when I was saying that verse, but I meant to say that, make that connection of, in my perspective, without God, I can't be that limitless version. Without my faith and belief that He is within me, it's not just Natalie, physical human being Natalie, that's able to do those things that are beyond understanding. Yeah, like moving a mountain.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Who wants to go next? Go, Etta.
Hi everyone. I truly believe that we are all limitless, and we are such as spiritual beings having this human experience, in my opinion. And as a spiritual being, we are limitless. We have no limits. Unfortunately, when we come to Earth, we end up learning certain stuff, and we create our own limits in front of everything, isn't it? And it turns into our personality, and our personality creates our personal reality. Unfortunately, we can never rise above our personal limits, personal understanding of who we are. But if you want to really become a limitless, we need to start kind of believing that we are these spiritual beings. We have no limits. We can do anything. And if we truly believe that we can do something, we can do it. I mean, I created amazing miracles in my life as well, just like Melissa, because I just believed that I could do it. I believed I have no limits. And again, trusting this bigger, higher force, and trusting that we are spiritual beings and we are limitless has a massive impact on that as well. And I wish that for everyone to kind of experience being limitless as well, and just overcome our own limitations, because they're not really real. It's something that we believe that we have those limits. They're not real.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Ada. That's the reality. They're not real, but they feel real to us because that's ingrained in our brains.
Yeah, it's the mind. That's my work. I'm a subconscious programming expert, and because subconscious controls 95% of our actions and decisions, and we created all that program since we were a little child, because until about 8, 7, and 8, we don't have all these programs, and we don't have filtering. So everything being told to us, taken into our subconscious like as real, but they're not real. All those fears that we created, all those limitations, like however we put them in there, we can get them out. Because if you think about it, our younger self put all those beliefs in there, and they didn't have the capacity or understanding of the real world when all these programs goes in. Actually, we can reverse them all and we can become limitless. It's amazing.
Yes. Thank you for that inspirational, perspective. Absolutely. Who wants to go next? Michelle.
All right, lovely what everybody is sharing here. Well, my perspective comes from being a wealth consciousness mentor, spiritual guide, and metaphysician. So I'm all about like leaping into this lake of consciousness within ourselves and experience of life. So important to discover our limitlessness is within the heart, our gateway to our intuition and this universal field of absolute potential, where we can actually work with and co-create with this beautiful, field of possibilities and realize who we are in the process, right? And so it's our willingness to kind of see the lights and the darks, our spiritual and our human nature, and we can integrate that through the energy of our heart. And also, our body is energy, and there are portals, right, to our possibilities. And so I believe that when we can really dive in within ourselves, get to the root, get to the core, move through the ancestral into the ground, right? But then also come back up to the heavenly universe, or however you relate with that, this, quantum field. That's where magic happens, right? And it's like, we can face fears. Fear's not bad. Limitations aren't bad either. It's part of our human experience. And I think it's our joy to say, oh my goodness, we get to be here at this time, this evolutionary, transitional, massive opportunity for transformation and an up level in consciousness, right, individually and collectively. So it's like, wow, how can I resource what I'm navigating at this time and leverage it to grow, to expand, to experience understanding and compassion within myself for my hardships, but also, to say yes to joy, to say yes to success and freedom and fulfillment, and know that that is your birthright, right? And so, if I were to offer anything for anyone navigating, maybe challenging times, or they're feeling an undeniable calling and they want to share their soul's work with the world, but maybe feel like, there are aspects that aren't there supporting them, I would say go within yourself and just, be still, be present with yourself. That's really the gift of this life, is presence, right? And it's a practice, and this is what we get to develop as humans, and celebrate our humanness at the same time. So it's like going within, right? Accessing that gateway to your center of being. And it's so peaceful, it's so spacious, it's all knowing, and guess what? It's all loving. And I think that's what we're really here for, right? To discover the love within ourselves so that we can then embody that. And just by who we're being, we get to share that with the world. And through that, create transformation, increase awareness, and, innovate and inspire and collaborate, do things like this, that where it's not just a one-man show, right? Like, or a single thing, we're working together universally here, right? And our spirits are working together, and even those who are listening are part of this, right? So it's all a contribution, and our willingness to be full of our, what I call self, soul, source, allows us, that's our gateway to really being present within ourselves, feeling safe and comfortable in our humanness, to be able to express our limitless, to be able to experience our limitless and inspire limitlessness as a collective.
Love that. Love that. And I think what you just said about that last part, be safe in our human self, is a big one, especially again with the times we're in. We can get so thrown off our center. And so making sure we doing things to come back to grounded ourselves, to make sure that we aren't thrown off and that we can tap into that more expansive version of ourselves. Love everything you said, Michelle. Thank you for that. Who wants to go next? Dr. Emiwa.
Thank you. When I think about, and I want listeners to pay attention to this, when I think about our limitless self or my limitless self, I don't want anyone to think that you need to have an epiphany before that can happen, that you really just must have a transfiguration experience of some sort to be able to overcome, because our limitless self is something you need on a daily basis. And because the challenges we meet as human beings are actually on a daily basis. And so I just wanted to put that out there, that everyone may not have to be like Paul, who had an experience and Saul, who had an experience and becomes Paul from the Bible. But I do want to go to the Bible because that's the basis of my faith. The Bible says that with faith, all things are possible. At the same time, I want to say that faith doesn't make anything easy. It only makes it possible. And so there is the belief that you can do it. Everything is created twice. If you can create it in the spirit, in the spiritual realm, then you have a clear picture. And most of the work I do, I get people to think about that. What do you see? Who do you see yourself is? What is that limitless person able to do? What is the picture you see of yourself? And if I call it successful self or authentic self. And if you can see that picture and clearly, because when you picture yourself at that successful position, there aren't limits, there aren't challenges. You have almost catapulted yourself from the present to that position. And if you can anchor it, that becomes something you can always, in addition to your faith or whatever you believe in. But like the speaker, two speakers behind, you have to believe in something. You really must believe in something. So I do think that our limitless self is a vision and faith, an anchor that we have on a daily basis to overcome, whether it's parenting challenges, relationship challenges, spousal challenge, whatever it is that could stop your journey, and whenever that shows up on a daily basis, look at what's possible because you already have a vision of who you are without limits.
Yay. Amen. Okay. Laurel, yep.
Well, first, thank you. I mean, I'm loving hearing everybody's perspective on limitlessness, and I am also a woman of faith, right? So I can do all things. I do believe having a faith the size of a mustard seed can absolutely move mountains. The other thing, though, that I really believe is that limitlessness changes over time. And kind of to, Dr. Amara just saying, I believe that sometimes our challenge with limitlessness is that we think we have no limits ever. And there actually are limits, because some of the limitations are our own capacity to do the thing that we are challenged to do. And so for me, it is really about very much standing strong in that faith. The thing that is coming up for me now in this journey is, number one, especially if you're starting a business and you do not have some kind of faith practice and a therapist, I need you to get both of those, because all the stuff is getting ready to come up when you try to do that. Secondarily, allow yourself to be open to what is speaking to you in the moment. So there's a grounding for me in, I can do all things. I have a bracelet, I wear it all the time, right? Because it's a reminder for me. But the thing that's forefront for me right now is, Habakkuk, write it down and make it plain. It is coming and it will not tarry. That's the thing that's speaking to me now, because I think it's really important for me in this space to hear the other pieces that says it will not be easy. Ease was not promised. Someone going with you was promised, that you would not be alone, but it was not promised to be easy. And you are supposed to ask for what you want and believe it's already done. And I believe part of the limitlessness for myself, and then I see in my clients, is a reluctance to make the big ask, a reluctance to say, give me more than I could possibly handle. A reluctance to say, no, I see myself on those world stages and I know that I'm going to make an impact, but let me not ask for that. So limitlessness for me is recognizing, owning, sitting with that perspective, and recognizing that limitlessness means recognizing the limit and deciding that the limit is not real.
Facts. Snap, snap. All right, Anna.
Oh, let me bring it home. What a great conversation. And I love the wisdom and all the places that every single one of us is bringing into this conversation, because there is so much to access from everyone's perspective. And as I'm listening there, I'm like, yeah, and that too, and that too, and that too. And I think this time where we are in humanity, this great transformation, like if anybody hasn't heard, and I don't just mean us here, just I'm talking about our viewers. If somebody hasn't heard about the time we are living in, it's time of a great chaos so we can create something new. It's the optimal lens for expressing our limitlessness. And to that point, we are not here for everything. So what is my limitation to overcome? What is the limitation that I've chosen this time dimension, whatever you believe, this lifetime? What is the limitation that I chose to overcome? Because through that, I will create something that I came here for. So I believe we're all here for a purpose, a reason. Even within a business, there is a uniqueness to every single expression. And I believe that every challenge to get us there is chosen. So what is my limitation that I came to overcome? What is the flavor? I will never be a basketball player. It's just not what I wanted to at some point be a figure skater, but I'm 50, I probably will not be an Olympic figure skater. So it's being to what Laurel was just speaking to is what I was hearing. It's in between what you were sharing, Laurel. It's like, but it's also a point in every one of our shares. What is the limitation that I will overcome? And it could be in this moment or this lifetime, especially as business owners, especially as women, and even crossing over to faith, even what we believe as far as, and I'm not challenging religion, but that is also up for questioning. What is the limit within what we believe about faith that gets to be redesigned for where we're going? Such a powerful, and this is where leadership and limitless marries so beautifully.
Yes.
Because I get to stand in my leadership to know what is the limit I'm choosing to overcome. How will I overcome it? What am I choosing to step into on the other side? All of that is through leadership and my leading myself. It's not even leadership in the world, because it starts with I'm leading myself through my limitlessness to experience who I am when I believe there is something more possible.
Woo woo! I mean, this was y'all. You could just drop the mic right here. I mean, this was amazing. Everything was just amazing. I'm just like, I gotta watch that and take notes. Everything, getting goosebumps because, and I love, Anna, that you brought it back to leadership, which is one of my core calling is women and leadership. But leadership, like you're saying, a lot of times leadership starts with how we lead our lives, how we lead ourselves. Who we are is how we lead. I always say that Brene Brown's famous quote, like, so that leading and that limitlessness, how can you truly lead? And back to Amara with the vision of what is possible, what you see in your mind, and to get there, it's like so much faith is required, so much overcoming our limits are required, so much, moving forward in spite of. And this is where, for me personally, the faith walk is like walking by, living by the faith I believe, no matter what it seems, no matter what the data is saying, no matter what I've been told, no matter what I even may think. And I've had experiences lately where that has happened, where I'm like, this makes no sense to my brain, but I am proceeding forward because I know that's what I'm supposed to do. And then I move forward, and it's with grace, and it's with like courage, and I'm like, wow, how did I even do this? And that for me is my experience of limitlessness many times when I do something that ordinarily I would say no to, or that makes me very uncomfortable, but I'm feeling so strongly called, and know my deeper knowing just knows, even though I'm like, and I go through the fire and I come out to the other side, and I'm like, huh. And I learn more about my capacity. I learn more about my limitlessness. So there's so many ways to spin this, what is it, skin this cat, they used to say, and whatever. So many ways to talk about this, but every one of you, just amazing what was just shared here. So I want to get into sort of like a hot seat. So with the hot seat question, I'm going to pick who answers the question. And it just take a few shares per question, but I just want to make this kind of like more like, right? So one question, I'm going to say who's going to answer it. What's one courageous action you took that changed everything for you? And I'm going to go with my intuition. I'm going to go with Anna. You're calling me for that question.
Okay, sure. I packed my car in the middle. It was actually end of my 30s. It was in my late 30s. I'm gonna be 50 in less than a month. So in the middle of 30s, I packed my car, and for no job or no relationship or any other reason other than just faith and guidance, I used to call it the greatest power, packed my car and moved from New York to Colorado, which was like, Colorado, what's in Colorado? Like I came
From
from
New
New York.
York. Yeah.
Yeah. I still make fun of Denver. It's a make-believe city. It's not real. So apologies to anybody who believes Denver is a true city. It's one block with skyscrapers. Come on now. So that's what's coming in right now. And people
Okay.
ask me like, why'd you do it? For a job, for a partner? Nope. No reason other than
But it changed everything for you, that move?
it changed everything because yeah, I mean, I changed it to change my environment ultimately, but it's when I drew the line and I said I can't hide my spirituality, I can't hide my sacredness. I was in a very, physical, living in a very physical environment, hiding all my spiritual and all my non-physical and my intuitive. And when I moved to Colorado, I said I'm drawing the line. So right now I can blend both very easily. It's what my work is about. But that was the demarcation of I'm dropping that identity so I can merge with this one.
Yes. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Melissa that same question.
I mean, oh my God, I've had so many over my life, but I'll give you the most recent one. In 2022, I shut down a 7-figure business, got rid of my home in California, moved out of the country and moved to California. And at the time, I actually filed bankruptcy on the company because of what I had gotten myself into in my year of death before that. And so I left that company, cashing out all of my crypto, my finances, paying out my team. So I had less than $10,000 to my name. I didn't work for a year and a half. And that was the miraculous piece. That's how I ended up getting the Hay House book deal. I went back to get my PhD. I ended up having money literally fall out of the sky for a year and a half. I made over 6 figures of no income coming into my world at that time to support me in my journey to walking away from everything. So yeah.
Is that in your upcoming book, Melissa?
Yeah, that's actually the start of the book. That's the introduction talks about what happened in 2021 that caused me to, after having a super successful business where I had a docuseries reached over 1 million people. I had 10,000 clients, all this stuff, like to walk away from something and to be like, know that it was done. And the transformation that happened that started that journey. And then it goes back into my childhood with where it all did. Yeah.
And please say a book. I know it is, but you say it.
It's High on Life, a prescription for bliss. And it will be out on April 12th on all the platforms, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Hay House, all that good stuff. So
I think those stories, I do believe testimonies, those stories move mountains for other people. That to know that, even what you just shared so quickly, to move from that to where you are now, and that to know that your life can be transformed with a courageous act that seems crazy. That's the thing. Seems crazy.
It seemed crazy. It was analogous to anything. Like I was so comfortable in my life and I was teaching good shit. Like my stuff was good, but it was very 3D compared to where I went and what I'm doing now. But I needed that time to allow myself to like reintegrate and see, because I kept getting the whispers, it's time to move on. It's time. And I'm like, yeah, but this is good. Like, right. Like, I'm like, and I was like, but it was such a piece for me to say, okay, I ended up, I had gone through 7 people in my life died. I ended a relationship, lost my best friend, my lover, I like all, like you name it, across the board. And I just was like, can't run the business. I'm done. And my team only could hold it for so long before they were done. And I just was like, we're moving on and let's see what happens. And it was the opposite of what I freefalled, because I literally had no security whatsoever. And I'd been homeless in 2009. So I was like, I had to go with, I'm not going to be homeless again and everything's going to be okay. And I didn't call anybody and be like, I just was like, I'm out, see what happens.
You know what that speaks to me, and it's a theme that I know is very important for a lot of us: surrender. And you, even in your first thing you shared, it was about surrender. Surrender. We have to surrender sometimes our will, what we think we know, and trust to very big, hard things. Because even though we don't think we're controlling as women, we're all controlling in our own lives. We don't even, I know, I'm like, I have more control than I realize. That's one of my epiphanies. Like, I'm like, dang. But yes, and when we let go of that control and be like, okay, for me, it'll be God to show me the way. And I have to just trust that the way will be shown. Trust that even though this path is, I don't know where the destination is, these stories,
Yeah.
Good stories,
It,
Melissa.
it was for me, as I thought I was in surrender before that, right? Like I really did. I'd run the surrender experiment. I was doing all the things that I thought was surrender, all of that. But I still had a piece of me that was like, this is how I want to show up in the world. This is what I want to teach. This is what I want to do, you know? And when I truly said, now I literally, if I get a message from my soul, my higher self, from God, I don't care if it tells me to jump off a bridge, I'm doing it. And I've done some really crazy stuff in the last couple of years because I've been getting these messages and people are like, why are you doing it? And I'm like, don't know, but it's going to show up. It's the same. I had the same thing. I've been writing that book for a year and a half and the book disappeared. My computer crashed. I lost the entire book 2 days before it was due for second round of edits. And I had to rewrite an entire book. I channeled it in 8 days and it's not the same book because the book isn't mine. I had to actually put in what the book wanted. It has a consciousness of its own, wanted to go out into the world. And it wasn't until I got back from my trip in Egypt this year, just last week, that I realized why the book was different, because I wrote it and sent it in and was like, here's the new book. And then all of a sudden I come back from Egypt and I'm like, oh, that's why. And it all makes sense and it all layered together, but I couldn't have done that myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Woo. Okay. Okay. Woo, woo, woo. All right. Next question. What's one rule about success or leadership that you've completely rewritten for yourself? And I am going to ask Dr. Emua. You're on mute.
Make sure that I understood the question. One rule of
What is
leadership.
one rule about success or leadership that you've completely rewritten for yourself?
That is that change begins with self. I paste it everywhere. It's in the kitchen, it's on the fridge, it's every single place. I don't think that anything could happen without self. And that's actually the center of what I do, even in leadership. With authentic leadership, everything centers around what is your unique strength. What is understanding who you are. Self-awareness is a cliche, all right, but that's really what the foundation of leadership is. It's who am I? Why am I here? And how do I show up? And not in the cliche way, but like, how do I show up in the purpose for which I've been called? How do I show up as a mother? How do I show up as a wife? How do I show up as a sister? How do I show up as a leader? So for me, it's about self. That nothing changes, nothing begins except from self.
All right. All right, sister. Okay. Marla. You get the same question.
All right. Let's see. What rule about leadership? Well, okay.
Or success. Or success.
Or success. So yeah, in fact, this is in my handout. I spoke about this in our interview, and it's also outlined in the download. And that is, it has to do with not only manifesting, but more importantly, embodying a new identity of who that next version of who I am to be, while I'm manifesting who she is and what she wants in that next version. Because what I had learned over the years, and it's all fabulous, and I still, adhere to a lot of the teachings, and that is, it never occurred to me in the manifesting mode that I am to be this new identity. I kept manifesting in the existing current Marla, and it didn't occur to me that, if I want this type of life or this type of business or the next, desire to manifest, I need to be in a new identity. And so that right there was, to me, life-changing. And it happened in the last year. And learning it and learning to embody who is Marla, right, in that new identity, and keep identifying what are those traits. Who are you when you are living that life? And the other piece too that I really find is crucial, that I needed help with, a lot of people, is being in the imagination, the 4D, and living in that, right? Because it's the as if it's already complete, but living in that imagination versus looking at the observed here and now, what's in front of you. And boy, that can be really challenging, because our ego mind likes to go, yeah, but your bank account says this. Yeah, but your coaching programs say this. Yeah, but here's what happened with your family. It's just like you're looking at everything here and now, but you gotta live in that imagination, and I'm still working on it.
It's a process, it's a journey, and we're all on the journey, right? Let's be real, we're all on the journey. We all have different journeys too. So I have been saying this lady, I say we're all on our own mountain, and our mountains are different, and we're on different stages in our mountains, but we all are on a mountain, climbing to the top, whatever that looks like for us.
Yeah,
It's real, it's the reality.
it's so
Okay,
real.
next, thank you so much. Next question. When did you experience the most expansive, free, limitless version of yourself, and what did you learn from it? Michelle.
Oh, I have to pick one? No, I'm just kidding. So many, I can relate with what everybody is sharing here about this like identity shift, right? Where the old constructs don't work, you surrender and you navigate kind of these years of darkness, and then you become, right? Like you evolve. So a moment where it's interesting. I think those moments where life crumbles, that's where we expand. I think those are the moments that, the light comes in, consciousness, right? Like, or however you define that. Uh, and it's painful, right? And I think because love is so big, it's like, are we willing to feel that? Are we willing to relax into it? And, I certainly experienced that many times, in my life. I know, divorce, loss, like identity loss, family, losing people too, and even in business, right? Loss and financial loss and all of that, right? And I think those were all stepping stones to the great expanse that is ever evolving and continues on. But I think what that really taught me, this is where I'm talking about like where the human experience merges with the spiritual nature. And I think it's like when we can meet life energetically, then we become empowered, co-creators of our experience. And I think through those experiences, I learned to trust my intuition and hear that with clarity and knowingness. And with that, became empowered on my journey to be able to take one step at a time and know I'll be provided for, that all is well. And it's really this integrative relationship, right? And it's our human experience, our journey, that helps us, kind of develop that like muscles, right? It's a training. And when we can be at peace within ourselves and be our spirit embodied, rooted, grounded, walk in this life, through expanded levels of consciousness, that to me is like wealthy being. And that's what we're here to be and do and experience and realize within ourselves.
Yeah, thank you. So one last question for two more people. When fear comes up for you, what do you do to acknowledge it and still move forward to an action, initiative, idea, or whatever to move past the fear? So does that make sense? When fear comes up for you, what do you do to acknowledge it and still move forward in an action, initiative? Etta.
God, fears are my specialty. So when fear comes up, I dealt with quite lots of fear in my life, to be honest. And my biggest fear was in life to surrender myself to my mission, because that was like, oh my God, who am I to kind of go and help people? Who am I to change the world? Who am I to make a difference? So when I released that fear, when I surrendered, so we've been talking about the surrendering and leading and everything changed in my life. And I started looking into what's holding us back in life. So I've realized these limiting beliefs, it's our fears, our traumas, all these old programs holding us back. So when fear comes up, not many fear comes up anymore because I dealt with it, I always ask myself, what's the worst thing can happen to me? if it was to happen, because I realize our fears are not real. It's just make up stories. We're just so afraid because one point in life we decided, oh my God, something's gonna bad happen if it happens to us. But usually it's our younger self decided about that. So when we question it, when I say, okay, what's the worst thing can happen? And I keep asking the same question, it comes to your end and it goes, nothing can happen to me. So why am I holding on to this fear? Why am I holding myself back? Because I'm so worried that something's going to happen. And I just release the fear with love. That's it. And I surrender. And I said, I'm not holding on to that anymore. That's it. It's gone.
Seems so easy, right?
It is easy, actually. Quite a lot of my clients says, I always say, look, fear is not real. It's made up. Trust me, it's made up. And we work through all the things that we reprogram the mind, regulate the nervous system, and they go, oh my God, I've got it now. It was not real. It was just a made up story. I'm like, yeah, fear is just a made up story. It's not.
There's that acronym, false evidence appearing real. Fair.
Yes.
False evidence appearing real. I haven't said it in a while. It's like, oh yeah, that's what it says. That's what the real interpretation of fear is. Yeah. It's not
And
real.
if you think about the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell, talks about, it's just so amazing. We face our own kind of blocks, fears and everything, isn't it? Go to the next stage. But
Yeah.
it's not real. It's just we make it real. But once you kind of go through that, we go to the complete next stage of our evolvement, our ascension process, our hero's journey, whatever you want to call it. And it's so powerful. That's the time that you feel like, yes, I can trust this process. Yes, I'm in the right place and I can do this.
Yeah. All right, Laurel.
Yeah, this is a good question. Oh, and there's also face everything and rise is another one for fear.
Okay.
Yeah, forget everything and run, or face everything and rise, right? For fear. I've always been extremely self-aware. I mean, it's not only the way I'm just wired, but also kind of the way we were raised, right? Lots of why questions. What did you think about that? Very critical thinkers. And from a fear perspective, for me, it's always about the identification of the fear. Because you're right, as Etta said, most of the time there's just some narrative that's a false narrative that's tied to it. But the narratives are also tied to actual experiences. So if you can separate the experience from the story, because often the experience isn't necessarily tied to the story, they've just connected each other. You can dissect it. And so for me, the fear, the big piece of being able to face a fear and move is the actual identification of the fear. And so through starting this business, so corporate for nearly 30 years, you just do the things you're supposed to do. That's what you do. And I didn't realize until I started the business, and there were some challenges with the business. 23 and 24 were me and Lovey Ajayi Jones, right? We're like, wait, what? What I realized that one of the biggest underlying fears for me personally was actually a fear of success. Because that success had been linked to pain. Because if anyone talked to me about my corporate career, it was absolutely successful. I left as a senior VP of HR of a global company, right? 17,000 people. When I decided to leave, I got all those, what do you do? Why are you leaving that good job, right? Are you kidding me? Do you know how much money you're making? Do you know how much influence you have, right? So that was what success was. But that job also meant I didn't sleep on a Sunday for 5 years. I was in constant battle mode. I gained 70 pounds. I mean, there was a lot of pain attached to that word success. And so for me to be able to face whatever fear is happening at the moment, it is important for me to identify exactly what the fear is so that I can understand what are the experiences that drove the fear and what narratives are or are not accurate related to those experiences. And then based on that, I can make some definitive action, right? The other thing that I learned in facing fear especially through this entrepreneurship, and this is going to sound really egotistical and arrogant, is I have learned to not be afraid of listening to me. Because what I do with other people, the feedback I get is, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. Oh my gosh, I really needed to hear that, right? And so, and I've had people say, have you read your own book, right, that I'm writing? Have you listened to your own podcast? Have you listened? Are you doing what you said? And I thought, that's a really good question. And so I've now, especially when I get stuck or paralyzed, it is going back and saying, wait, if this were a client, what would I be telling this client? If this were a friend, what would I be telling this friend? If this was someone who I just needed to back up out of my world, what would I be telling this friend or this person that I needed to get back off me, right? It is that ability to identify it, define it, name it, and then put it where it really belongs is what enables me to move into action. And so that's the fundamental piece of my framework. You get aligned, who you are, where you are. You get a clear vision, right, on what it is you want. And then you take empowered action, alignment, vision, action. But you got to know who you are. You got to know what you want. And then based on those, you decide what you are, what you need to do, and what you're willing to do to get it. Right. And so fear, in order to face the fear, comes back to, and I think Marla, maybe it was you, I can't remember who said it earlier, is really being clear on who you are so you can identify what it is so that you can decide what the action is you're going to take.
Yeah. All good stuff. Yes, I relate to so much of that. Yes. Okay, so we're going to transition now to what I'm calling the speaker fire round. Um, and so everybody's going to answer this and fast, but I'll answer it first actually. So I'm get to participate in my own questions this time. So the first question is, what's a book, podcast, or resource that has changed your perspective about leading without limits? So my answer is, and I have the book right here, is Brene Brown's Braving the Wilderness, which when I read this in 2017, it came out. So probably read it when it came out, 2017. And I've read her other books. I love her. I think she's amazing. This book was like a book that opened me up. And I want to just read something that I actually didn't remember that I underlined in this, that really still, when I read it today, I was like, oh, I need to hear this today. So she's talking about to Maya Angelou actually in this part. And Maya Angelou's telling her, don't stop and don't let anyone get in your way. I wrote, and I didn't remember I wrote this, Maya's words are for me too. This would be 7 years ago. And I was like, oh, I wrote that. So there's that. And then she goes on, Maya ends up singing to her, and she sings, like a tree planted by the river, I shall not be moved. And I had those words underlined. And she said, she says to Brene, do not be moved, Brene. So then Brene is writing, really, and I so relate to this, so I'm reading it. Really, do you have the gift of knowing you're inside a moment that will be part of what defined you? But I knew. What do you do when you spend the majority of your life moving to try to fit in, and all of a sudden Maya Angelou is singing to you and telling you not to be moved? He says, you learn how to plant your damn feet is what you do. You bend and stretch and grow, but you commit to not moving from who you are. Those words today, and I underlined them, 7 years ago when I read this book, they speak at a different level to me. And so we all understand, like, sometimes we might know something, but then we get to know it at a different level, and it just lands on us like more powerfully. That happened to me today. This is why I did all that. So the fire round question is, what's a book? Thank you, Anna. Thank you for being here. What's a book, podcast, or resource? We're gonna wrap up in like 10 minutes that change your perspective about leading without limits. Michelle.
So I read the book First Intelligence by Simone Wright, who later then became a mentor of mine. Completely changed my life, set me on the intuitive path where I was like, oh, recognizing I've been doing this all along. And she gave me the formula to be able to actively engage and command and do all these things that help me, set myself up for a limitless leadership. Can I add one more?
Yeah.
Okay. Then there was another book, Energetic Boundaries by Cindy Dale. And that was like another one of those light bulbs went off. And I was starting to understand, relationship dynamics, workplace dynamics, giving my energy away, and how to kind of cultivate fitness for my energy boundaries and who I'm being in the process, which transformed health and business and wealth. So those are the two. Thanks.
Is that why you became an Iron Man person?
That was way before.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no. That was before, but it was all part of the journey, right? Like the spiritual path of setting an intention, going for it, doing the training and crossing that finish line. And then we do it again and again and again. So
yeah. Etta, what's your book, podcast, or resource to change your perspective?
I mean, I love books. I love knowledge. I can tell you like thousands of them. It's so hard to choose one, but I think I might have to go with Napoleon Hill's books. I quite liked Think and Grow Rich and also Outwitting the Devil. They're my favorites, I would say.
Those are classics.
Yes. You can read it so many times, and every time you read it, you get something out of it again and again and again. Yes.
Yeah. Amara. You muted still.
I think I will get in this question because I've read so much and so many books. I'm sitting down here thinking which one of them, but I still go back to The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People because I read it at a point, I just left college. I read it at a point where I needed it in life to really understand how I was going to navigate both corporate life and my personal life. And for the first time, I was able to sit down and ask myself, how will I navigate life? What are my values? Why am I here? And that changed my entire journey. You could say that was the beginning of what led me to where I am today. And so I would say The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, it is forever relevant.
Yeah. It's in my shelf somewhere downstairs. Yep. Laurel.
Okay, so the book is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, that really put words to that feeling around zone of excellence, that thing that you are exceptional at, like truly exceptional, and yet you hate it, right? But people love you for it because you're so good at it. So his book is fantastic, and his follow-up, The Joy of Genius, is phenomenal. So I like that. And I have a tendency to really like to push the people who actually start with the thing. So now everybody's talking about Zone of Genius. That was Gay Hendricks, right? So that's the thing, that one. And then I have to say a podcast, which is both podcasts by Guy Raz, How I Built This, and then Wisdom from the Top. And in particular, if you listen to the one with the former CEO of Lego, who is just amazing. So I'm a podcast junkie. So Gay Hendricks, and then Guy
You're
Raz.
knowledge junkie. You're knowledge junkie.
Yeah.
Marla.
Yay, I love it. The Big Leap. Amen, Laurel. In fact, I teach that in my coaching. It's just phenomenal, life-changing. So I love books too. I mean, I don't know what leader doesn't, right? It's like I got bookshelves all over my home, right?
Same.
It's a little challenging to choose one, but I'll choose actually two of them. So Becoming the One. This is the most recent one, which is Kathleen Cameron. I don't know if you all know about her, but she's recently come onto the coaching world in the last 5 years, and she is blazing trails I have never seen before in the coaching industry. Phenomenal woman. So Becoming the One, and it's really about self-love. It's then again the new identity. It's about really understanding what self-love really is, right? And how she changed her life in a matter of, it was really 2 years, from this nurse to the first year in coaching to a $3 million business. And, at this point, 5 years later, she's changing lives globally and is at something like $40 million. It's crazy. But she's authentic. She's real. She's very, very real. And then Gabby Bernstein, I've got almost all her books. Judgment Detox, I have to say this. It's outstanding. It really, really pulls you in to look at truly how often we allow our beautiful ego mind to judge everything, every moment of the day. And she pulls you into, of course, her specialty is about love, right? Choose again, move into love, learn how to evolve out of the judging. So both of those, and of course, they both have podcasts.
But everybody has a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, thank you. And then last but not least, Melissa.
I first want to say Gay Hendricks, the Big Leap. I actually interviewed him before that book came out when it was coming out. It was part of the things. He's awesome and his work is incredible. So I absolutely love that. But I'm going to have to go with, I'll go back to the book that I mentioned earlier, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. He built $1 billion company from surrender. He didn't want to do it. He wasn't trying to do it. He like his story in this book about how every day he just woke up and was like gardening and tilling, you know, in his land, and like he would get a message to do this thing and he'd go in and work on it, and he was like, I don't know, he's like, I don't want it, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, but he just kept surrendering and surrendering, and then the whole path and how he ends up being who he is right now came from that. And I read that in 2017, and it just blew open the way that I look at leadership and how I changed everything in my business.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because that's what you are living it out now, the surrendering process. You're literally living out. So that isn't that amazing to you read something, you take it in, you integrate it, and then you become the things in it, and you are now living a different kind of life. I mean, you just literally what you shared today is testimony to all of that. So this is why I asked a question like this, because the resources that have helped us can help other people, and we want to just share that with everybody. That's why we're doing this right now. One more fire round question, which I think is important. I have two, but I think I want to make this. We don't have that many attendees. If you have any questions, put them in the chat, and if not, we will wrap up in about 10 minutes or less. So the next fire round question is, what's a mantra or belief you live by? So my answer is back to similar to what I said earlier, with God, all things are possible. And I know for me, if I really truly embrace that possibilities mindset, so I have to share the card I pulled. So this is from my own deck, right? She shines. It says, I am unstoppable. Each day I'm becoming the highest, finest version of myself. And there's skyscrapers in the background, all this stuff. When I see this card, when I put it, I always feel like, ooh. And I designed it, but I get this feeling of, and the way, the posture of the woman in the card, so I put that together. Like, I know when I fully embrace that the possibilities are endless mindset for myself, I am absolutely unstoppable, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm on a journey to get there. So that is the mantra belief: with God, all things are possible. Amara, what's yours? You're muted, Mara.
I think it's very similar, but I said that earlier that faith doesn't make things easy. Faith makes it possible.
Marla.
Well, I can't help but mention it's the name of my podcast. Follow your joy. Follow your joy. Obviously, there's a lot of layers there, but and when I don't follow my joy, it is not good. Yeah.
Edda.
My one is, I am who I am now, not who I was or who I will be, but now. Present. Never compare yourself to past or future. Just be in the present.
Melissa.
It's a question I ask myself every day. What would love do? What would love do? I named my son's middle name is Love. I have love tattooed on my body over 7 times. My book is about the frequency of love. And in the end, I think if you ask that question in every challenging and beautiful situation in your life, it'll change the way you look at the world.
I love that. And you've said that before in one of our interviews. And yeah, resonating at a different level right now. Laurel.
I have so many, but one of the ones that I have actually taped to my computer is trust yourself. In this moment, you are enough. In this moment, you have all you need.
Yeah, I love that too. Michelle.
Yeah, so I have a couple as well, and I relate to what everybody is sharing here. you know, a lot of times it is about how would I make this decision, knowing that I am love, I am power, I am truth. Those are kind of the three, you know, signature wealth codes that I incorporate in working with clients. And there's another end of that, the human aspect of I am worthy, whole, and wealthy. Like that is who I am. And that can alter who you're being in the process. That shapes your choices, decisions, and actions, and therefore your outcomes.
All right, last fire round question. What's the best career, business, or life advice you've ever received? And my answer is what I just read from that book. And I believe, because I know it's for me, I shall not be moved. So that's mine. Okay, Laurel.
Ooh. You know what? I'm going to go with something that I was told very young. My parents told us, both of us, this very, very young. And what they told us was, even if you have nothing, if you have a good name, you have everything. And that's kind of, it's all about integrity, all about consistency, all about, underlying everything. If you stay true to who you are and you show up, even if you are on your last leg, you have everything because you have been who you are and people know who you are.
Love it. Michelle.
I would say trust yourself and give yourself grace.
Etta.
I love Tony Robbins. I think I've done all these trainings, and he always says, where focus goes, energy flows. And I love that.
Mala.
Well, like I give my San Diego State mentees and mentor San Diego State seniors and grads, and that is listen to your intuition, not status quo, not formulas. Learn how to listen to, especially with career. Just get out of the box, get out of the matrix, and listen to your intuition.
I'm so big on that lately. Yes, it's everything.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I'm not seeing any questions in the Q&A. Yes.
I want to share mine.
Oh, I thought I asked you already. I'm sorry. I was like, yeah.
I'm like, I got a good one. Let me share. So my favorite was, I was told there are 8 billion people in the world and you're not going to make everyone happy. So if you're not pissing off a few people with your message, then your message isn't strong enough.
I love you. I mean, you and Melissa. Yes, I love it. I love it. Oh my God. And I love that. Anyway, I don't see any questions in the Q&A. So I think we want to wrap up. And how I want to wrap up is well, 2 ways. The first thing is for each of you to just share something inspirational, something you want to just, so we're closing Limitless Leaders Summit here. This is the grand finale. Just close with something that resonates for you, that you feel will, we shared so much today, but just some drop, some mic drop, some gem that you want to share with the people who listen to this recording, who are here. What's that one thing you want to share? So I'll go with Laurel, start.
I think the one thing I want to share for people is, if you can shift your perspective, you can shift your circumstances. And that's why I named my podcast The Rutledge Perspective, right? It's if we can shift the way we look at things, we can shift how we engage with things, and we can shift our outcomes related to those things. So be willing to shift your perspective, because if you do that, you can shift your circumstances.
Amen. All right, Mala. You muted, Mala.
Whoopsie. It's actually one of my favorite sayings is she not only saw the light at the end of the tunnel, but she became a light for others.
Yeah.
And I mean, that speaks to everything that we do here, which is, our own breakthroughs, become inspiration for others.
Yeah. Melissa.
Find the frequency of love.
I Amara.
I have to say one thing. I would say something someone said to me, you are enough. You bring enough.
We all need that. Even though we don't know we need it, we need it. Thank you. Etta.
You have gone through your challenges for a reason, and please do not waste your life because of your fears.
Yeah, especially, so I have to say this, it is such an anxiety provoking, tumultuous, uncertain times we're in right now. Fear can become a real, I don't know what to call it, but right there alongside us. So I think us just naming it and acknowledging it exists, but then saying that it doesn't have to determine our outcomes. It doesn't have to be the thing that is anchoring our lives or is making us move. That it's just something we know is there, but it doesn't have to lead us. It doesn't have to guide us. It doesn't have to be us, right? So yeah. So thank you for just saying that again, because I just think these times we need as much assurance, certainty, guidance, inspirational positivity as ever to get to silence the noise that's so prevalent around a lot of us.
We can dance with our fears.
Yeah, yeah. Michelle.
Yeah, I would say first, I think to celebrate being here in this now moment and the courage that you have to go within yourself to maybe even look at those fears and maybe even look at your dreams and what's truly calling you to connect with that from the inside, from within yourself. And just allow like the noise of the 3D world, the reality to kind of go still. It can still be there and dance, right? But just if you can kind of push it out a little bit and just be in the stillness of your light, of what lights you up, of what brings you joy, of what's really truly calling you in this moment. I'm getting emotional. I just feel like now is your time. And this is an invitation for you to feel into that as like a big yes from all of us supporting you on the way, that you're not alone on this journey, that not only do you have the support of your soul, of your spirit and source, but you have leaders and supporters who've been on the path, who understand and share compassion for what you're navigating. And that, you know, it's by our collaboration and our unity of moving through this world together where we rise, where we support one another. And you are important and significant and are part of this puzzle. And when you shine your uniqueness, your true spirit, you create harmony. The sound of your essence comes through. And that's what's healing. That's what's transforming and creates the limitlessness that we're all, you know, here to experience within ourselves and experience of life. So
That feels like that was like a download you had to share like that, Michelle.
I just feel like the world is sensitive right now, and it's easy to get caught up in the chaos, the confusion, the uncertainty, and the fear, and just know that's part of the spiritual journey, that you're not doing anything wrong. And to say, okay, cool. Where's the opportunity here? How can I expand? What wants to emerge from this experience? You know, what am I being invited to up level in my life, right? Maybe it is more love, maybe it is more compassion or trust within yourself. And look at the opportunity to develop your unique, you know, intuitive language along the way, so that you grow into that inner knowingness where you're no longer really in fear. You may witness it, you may observe it, but it doesn't have power over you, because that's really just the illusion of separation, right? And that, you know, you are love, power, and truth. So yeah.
Amen. Amen. Ladies. Sorry, no, it's fine. This was really even more amazing. I mean, the wisdom, the knowledge, the transparency, the love, the compassion, all of it together collectively. And I just feel like we need more of this. And I don't know what my motivation will be, but I just feel like just this being in this energy, and I feel like everybody, we didn't have a lot of attendees today, but when people watch this back, the energy in this space, I feel like we need to create more spaces like this where we can just speak our truth authentically, safely, and share our nuggets, share our gems, share our unique brilliance, and that's my word, with everyone that's meant to hear it. So that, because we all need to be in a space where we feel uplifted, we feel less inspired, we feel ignited, we feel supported, like Michelle's just saying, and like we just need more spaces like this, y'all. We need to be creating more of this stuff, right? So I don't know. This is an invitation for all of us here to be like, what do I create to build this, to bring this, because the world needs us. The world needs us. And I want to close with just like a closing statement, that I just want to for the whole summit, right? Not just the experience right now, but for the whole thing, all these interviews, all these sessions, so all of us who've tuned in, who've been participated and experienced this summit, we've received so much wisdom from all the 21 amazing speakers who said yes to this summit, what they teach. And now we're here at the close of this powerful chapter, but it's to say that it's not the end, that it's a beginning. And all the stories we've heard and all the stories that have been shared now and before and during the summit this whole week, all the stories of people who rose through challenges. You've heard Melissa share some things. You've heard people share things even today, who've pivoted, rebuilt, reimagined what their life or leadership could look like when it's authentic and aligned and deeply rooted in our brilliance and in our truth. Like, I hope you've seen yourself. All you who are here, who are listening to this, you've seen your power, your potential, your purpose, and your capacity to be more than you can imagine, greater than you ever knew you could be. And that maybe this week you heard something that just hit you a little deeper, a little more profound, like I just did when I read from the book today. It just resonated on a different level. Maybe a part of you, as you listen to this summit, tuned in, watch, stirred. Maybe you're realizing that you've been playing smaller, shrinking, or holding back and contorting and just not being your full self because you're afraid or you just don't feel like you're enough. All the things that we're sharing today. But here's the truth, and I'm just going to resound it again, like really loudly. You are just who you're meant to be. You are here in this space because something in you is ready to rise. This is your moment. Take it. So I want to just say, throughout this summit, those of you who maybe they only got to watch a few things, so every one of these interviews are precious. Every one of them has golden nuggets. So I'm going to do the shameless plug of saying, upgrade to the VIP unlimited access. And I'm not just saying it to sell you something. No, I keep mentioning it because with this level of access, you can keep growing, evolving, and tuning back in as many times. Because I know for me personally, I'll hear it once. Okay, good. I want again. Oh, wow. Third time. Oh, something landed. That's what it looks like when we're integrating, reflecting, and taking in and embodying. Like I think Melissa shared her story reading that book and the surrender. This is what it looks like. We can't just like, got it, move on. That's not how life works. So I truly, 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 truly hope you grab the gold mine. You're putting those $59 in. And as I close, I want to say, let your limitless self be the one who writes your next chapter. Choose her, speak like her, be her. And when doubt creeps in, as it will, because we all are going through this different levels of it, remember this space of powerful women. Remember what's already been awakened in you. And to all my brilliant speakers of Limitless Leaders Summit, I want to thank you for pouring your wisdom, your truth, and your energy into this space. You have gifted us all so much more than you even know. And to every woman who showed up in this space with an open heart and mind, you are the reason we're here. And your presence, your hunger, your vision, it matters. And I want to just say this: see your brilliance, see your beauty, see your boundless capacity, and may you say yes to your limitlessness. This is the beginning. Keep rising, keep shining, keep on being you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yay! All of you. Thank you. Bye.